All right, we're recording. Hey, Paula, welcome.
Hey, Christine, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for being here.
Oh,
I
thanks for
wanted to,
having me.
I wanted to start just to find out a little bit, well, the people who are watching, find out a bit about what you do in your business.
Yeah, so I am a money and business coach for soulful entrepreneurs, and I love helping entrepreneurs to really empower their money mindset, to build delicious packages that they love offering that really create results for their clients, and of course, learn to sell in a soul inspired way. So we're not doing the icky sales or marketing, but people can just be who they are and know that they can sell. And ideal clients will say yes. So.
Yes, I love it. And I love that you use the word delicious because we need more of that just all around in life and business. And
Yeah.
money mindset is huge, especially for women, I would say,
Yes.
because we do that thing where we undercharge and we doubt, and it's just so important to have that foundation. Even before like the marketing stuff, which I know you and I have talked about before. The money
Yeah.
mindset thing is like the foundation.
It
Um,
is, and it's
yeah,
that energy of believing and stepping into more, like the
yeah,
possibility of more,
yeah,
right?
totally. It's an energy for
Yeah.
sure. So we've been working together. I was thinking in several different capacities for years now, which is awesome. And I wanted to just get a little snapshot of before we started working together, and now you're in the mastermind. Where were you? What did things look like? What was your business, and what was going on with you beforehand?
Yeah, so you're right. We have done a few things. I'm in the mastermind now, but I did a few of your smaller programs, and that was really good for me to see and experience you, so that I knew that stepping into the mastermind was the right decision for me. So I have a beautiful business and have had it for many years, and it's always been focused up until sort of the last several years. It's been focused on serving clients one to one in a private capacity. And I used to serve, oh gosh, almost anywhere from 15 to 20 clients, and then as I had some health issues, I had to pull that number back and find that ideal number, which was far less than that. What I recognized is I also wanted to have a bigger impact, that if I was going to pull back, I would only be able to serve a handful of clients. And yet there's this part of me that knows I'm meant for more, and I want to have a wider reach with my business. And so coming into your world, watching you, seeing how you help women scale was like the thing that attracted me to you.
Yeah, the scaling piece is huge because we hit that point in our business and we're like, all right, things are moving, things are going well, and yet we sometimes hit that ceiling where it's like we can't do any more, right? And you had mentioned your health issues, and I know that when we first started working together, I'm always sensitive to what's going on in my clients' lives, like not just the business stuff, but like what are you capable of right now, because we all have different seasons, right?
Yes.
And I thought maybe you'd speak to that a little bit, just in terms of, if somebody's watching this and they're saying, does my business have to look a certain way, or am I going to have to be like a workaholic? Any words of wisdom for people who might be doubtful that they could do it their way?
Oh, I think it's so critical to do it your way. I mean, that's the only way to sustain a business and be in it for the long haul, right? And those of us who are moving into our business, the second decade, the third decade, we've learned this, that you have to find the way to be in the world that supports you and your own energy first.
Yes.
And, I loved when I first started working with you, and I was very clear. I remember having this conversation where I said, my health is something, and my energy, my personal energy is something that I have to watch, because I had it mastered where I would go, 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 and then crash, right? Go, 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 and crash. And then eventually I couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't get to the same energy level. And I
Mhm.
dealt with, adrenal fatigue, that for a period of time, I could not get out of bed.
Yeah.
So when you've been there, you recognize that there is only one way to create the business, and that is around, supporting the health at the highest level, and recognizing you can't serve anyone else if you are not fully supported.
Absolutely.
So that became critical for me, and I so appreciated, because you would reflect back to me like, whatever we have to do to support your health, that's what you're going to put in place. And I think that's refreshing because you hear other messages in the world, and you and I, talk about this. Like, I'm not for hustle. I am not. I just don't think it supports a woman in particular with her hormones, especially as she gets into her, late 30s, 40s, and 50s. That is not a sustainable energy pattern.
Right.
And so it's so awesome to hear a coach reflect back to you. We're going to do what works for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I love that you mentioned that. I mean, it's, we all have these different, capacities and, things that are going on, and our lifestyle comes first, really. I mean, for me, it's like I needed to build a business myself where I could have pockets of, let's be honest, laziness. Whether it's health or being lazy, or, you have to kind of understand how you're wired and how you work, and business doesn't have to look a certain cookie cutter way. And I love you mentioned the hustle thing, because I've been anti-hustle for a long time, because just like you, I had built my business in the beginning going, 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 to the
Mhm.
point where it was like that's all that was happening in my life, was just being on the laptop, and really everything went by the wayside. So I learned that it doesn't have to be that way, so I think a lot of people find that refreshing, that it doesn't have to be this, hustle and grind. You can still be successful without all of that stuff, which I think is important for people to know.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that you opened up my eyes to within that context is there's so many opportunities for different types of offers
Mhm.
that therefore can support that,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's from the VIP days, some of this I knew beforehand, but just to see it and to see you modeling all of that was really critical, because then I saw, well, I could just do it this way, or if I want the laser coaching offer, I do that, or if I want, the one day, like the webinar class,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
In a small group format, I could do that. And so I just was like, oh, look at all of these different ways. And I get to choose based on what feels good to me.
Yes, and I love that you brought up offers, because it's such a good way to be able to do that. And I'm kind of like obsessed with being able to help my clients craft their business around the offers that make the business model work for them. And there are so many different ways to work with our clients, and it's really exciting. It doesn't have to, again, look one way or look a certain.
Yeah.
So glad you mentioned that. So
Hmm.
what would you say, specifically, since we've been working together, what are some of the things that you've noticed as far as changes, or progress, things that have look very different than your before in the after, after we've been working together? What does that look like?
I was thinking about this, and I have to say that it boils down to one thing, and then has many tentacles from there,
Yeah.
right? Is this idea that I no longer fear the online world. You've helped me demystify it, like demystify a Facebook ad or demystify a webinar, because or a launch for that matter, right? It can be daunting. There's so many moving parts, and if we don't understand it and we don't have a template, which I think you're like the template queen. If we don't have a template, or to see the visual, then it just looks overwhelming. Or we may try a Facebook ad, spend a whole bunch of money, and go, Facebook ads don't work,
Yeah.
or whatever we choose. And so that is like the thing that I feel I have been able to master the most, is take on these various pieces of the online world and the marketing pieces that are really critical, if that's, if you want to scale in the traditional sense, and not have it be these scary things.
Mm.
So I have managed, and that I had tried to do this for years, to shift my business into, the online model, and come up with group programs and have them actually, take off, right? Not have, one or two, but really start to take off and have some leverage behind them. And that's what's happened for me in particular this last year, where, I can run a Facebook ad and it's successful and at a, cost that's awesome as well. I could put together a program and do the launch, and do a challenge, and people sign up. I
Yeah.
can double my not Facebook, my email list. And not only is it doubled, but I'm actually seeing that people are on it that want to open my emails, and they're responding to things, right? So that it's not, oh yeah, you've got a, big list, but you don't have the interaction and
Yep.
engagement with that. So it's like all of these little pieces where I can see, okay, momentum here, momentum here, momentum here. And it starts to finally come together, like, now I truly have an online business, as opposed to before where 95% of my business came through referrals. So did I need to really market? No, I just needed to help my clients get results and they would tell other people, which is an awesome, you never want to get rid of that. That does not translate though to building an online presence. And so I had to get myself out of just serving my small group of clients whom I love. I adore working one-on-one, and I'll probably always keep that. And I wanted that to be only a portion of my business.
Yes. Yes. So good. And I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
This like really, really jazzes me because that's such a good point. Like referrals are wonderful and clients that are happy and telling other clients is great. But if you truly want this thing that everyone talks about, which is like sort of the sexy, leveraged, scalable business, we have to go outside of that. And we have to, like you said, take those pieces together and really get them working, right? Because right, just numbers, lots of Instagram connections or lots of people on your list that's not the be all end all. It's like, are those people engaged with you? Do they see you as an expert? Is your visibility growing? So great examples. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And I wanted to add something because it's actually something that I had to realize is to give myself the permission to improve, right? To do a webinar and have it not go well and learn so that I could get better at it. And this week I delivered probably one of my best masterclasses. And I had this moment in the middle of the masterclass that I saw my own reflection, like in my computer screen. And I thought to myself, I'm getting better at this. I am becoming more masterful, right? And I think that when people, because there are all of those messages out there that, just, grow a business and, whatever the time frame is, something ridiculous. And then what that causes us is to not recognize that it's a process of getting all of these pieces moving and built.
Right. It is a process. And you mentioned the word mastery. It's like, we want to be, mastery of our craft, of what we do, of coaching, consulting, whatever it is. But you want to create mastery in your marketing. And that doesn't mean you're like, the top marketing person in the world. It just means in your business, are you doing things strategically? Are things moving forward? Are you tracking and testing? And I think that people need to know behind the scenes that that's the stuff we do. It's not just like, oh, we have this webinar and 10,000 people registered and like, okay, I'm coasting now. It's like, no, like you don't see the things behind the scenes where we had to start, where we started, and then tweak and progress from there. So I think that's a great thing for people to know as well.
Yeah. And I love that you just give so many ideas for different, things that we can do. For example, the 9-word email.
Oh, yes.
Awesome, right? And I never thought I could send an email that had so few words and get such an awesome response, which was very useful.
Yeah.
Right? I think doing that periodically helped me know people are responding. People want to hear from me, which, we all fear no one wants us to send the next email. I no longer have that fear. I just like, here I am. I have brilliance to share. The ideal clients will say yes. Oh, and by the way, one more thing I thought of just a second ago. You have encouraged me to be willing to write those edgier posts on social email, right? You know this, right? Those edgier posts, and be willing to repel certain people in order to attract the right people.
Yes. Totally. Yes. And so glad you mentioned, because that is, part of this, this online world. Like I always say, we can't blend into the digital wallpaper, we have to take a stand for things that we believe in and edgier in an authentic way, things that rile you up or you're passionate about. And you have to understand that some people will, oh my God, unsubscribe, or, they're not going to follow me anymore. And that's okay. Because what happens is as people get repelled, the right people rise up to meet you who resonate and who are like, that's my person, So that is like huge. And I also want to reference what you said, like the 9-word emails. One of the things that as a coach, and I know as a coach, is that the learning never stops. So one of the things that I pride myself on with my clients is I always have a coach. I'm always in a mastermind. I'm always getting trainings, and I'm taking what I'm learning from other people, and bringing it on to my clients and really, putting my own spin on things. But that's also important as well, just to keep yourself fresh, because in this online world, things change, very often, very frequently.
Yeah, and to keep getting the clarity, right? Because
Yeah.
even through our work together, I've circled back to my ideal client, which a lot of people think I set that once and it never changes. No, you keep going back to that. And as you grow and expand, let me own that. As I grow and expand in my business, who I want to serve and the specific problems I want to focus on, I'm refining as I go. So
Totally.
that process never stops.
Yeah, you're so right, because mine hasn't stopped either. I'm again going through the process of tweaking the ideal client, 12 years on. And that, that's important to share, because it's not like you just set it and forget it. And your awareness grows over time. And
Yeah.
you also start getting more, I would say, boundaries and clarity around, like, this is what I won't tolerate in my business. And this is, the kind of client that I don't want to work with. And that's just as important, because I always joke in the beginning, it's like, my ideal client is anyone who can, like, pull out a credit card and pay me. And it's like, no, so you go through this honing experience. And I think that that's why coaches and mentors are so important, because we have blind spots.
We do.
And a lot of times we're just like so close to things, right? We can't see.
Yeah. And I mean, the things that you've coached me on are the things I coach my clients on, right? So you can see it for other people a lot easier than you can see it for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have somebody else reflecting that back to you and nudging you along to say, you can do this. I mean, Christine, one of the things that I just loved is in our last retreat within the mastermind, you showing the bigger numbers
Oh,
about
yeah.
what's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Holy, right? It's so awesome to see. And I do that for my clients, but for you to have done that for me, I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I love this.
Yes, right. Like pulling back the curtain and showing like
Mhm.
the real deal. And like I said, my own mentors have done that for me, and that's inspiring. And I'm like, this is what, people need to see, so that they can see like the reality, right? Of how things have grown, how things have changed. And in that example, how I've set up my business so that it's not like I'm working constantly to hit a certain number. It's more like, how am I leveraging, scaling, and putting processes in place so that I'm not working all the time,
Yeah.
so yeah. So would you share a little bit about, in terms of the mastermind? So you mentioned the retreat. What's good also about being, in community with other business owners? I think that's important too, because I always say my mastermind's a hybrid of one-on-one and group. What's good about being able to connect to other people who are like-minded?
Yeah, well, just even on this last retreat, I mean, just the chats,
Yeah.
that was the comments that were going on in the chat, and just the resources that people were sharing, and seeing other people who were at a really high level as well, and the things that they're doing to optimize their processes. And you spoke to processes, like I think that's the key. Is it's great to see the big numbers, but if
Yeah.
you don't understand and aren't implementing the processes behind the scenes that support those big numbers, those aren't attainable,
Right.
right? So far. So for me, it was just, I love hearing how other people are taking the wisdom that you're giving and implementing it in their business, because then it gives me ideas like, oh, okay, so that's how I can even modify what Christine is saying for my business.
Yeah.
And just be in that energy of, as you've said, increase, and see it in other people as well.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's so valuable, because it's one thing to see it in just a mentor, but then when you see it in other people and all the ways that it can be applied, and then people are coming and bringing their ideas or their experiences to the table, that's valuable. And the other thing that I love is that, in the mastermind, I mean, I've gotten so much confirmation, specifically in the retreats, because we're there, in that group format where we're sharing a lot of ideas. Other people saying things. I think I got the name for one of my programs just by something someone had put in the chat,
Yeah.
right? And it wasn't exactly what they said, but it sparked an idea. And I thought, that's brilliant. And I'm going to take that and run with it, kind of thing. So when you're in community, that higher mastermind forms that can really propel everybody forward.
Yeah, totally. Because we are not an island. We can't run our business like on our own alone because it's like we're in this bubble,
Mhm.
and we need to be able to see other people who are going through not only like excitement and celebrations, but their challenges, and seeing how,
Yeah.
they're handling it, and knowing that we're not alone. So
Can I just comment? I do feel you have the perfect balance with group, whether it's the
yeah,
monthly trainings and the retreats and the private coaching,
yeah,
because I think you need both. And if it was just in a group setting, and I've been in group masterminds where it's just group,
too.
that
Mhm.
wouldn't be enough for me, right? I
Yeah.
love private coaching. I like to coach privately. I know the value in that. So even in my programs, I always want that hybrid. And so I so appreciate the individual, and in particular, your knowledge and mastery of technology,
Yes, my nerd.
because yeah, you can call it nerdy geeky. It's awesome. And here's why it's awesome: because there's a lot of coaches, the higher up you go, who farm all of that out to their team.
Mhm.
So they're not as close to, let's say, the latest in what's happening with Facebook ads, right?
Right.
They have to bring in their Facebook ad expert, but you can look at an ad or the copy of an ad and immediately give feedback on it, or give, your format, which is really critical for women and men business owners who are not at the stage where they're farming everything out, or still need to be close enough to the technology pieces in their business. And there's many of them, right?
Yeah.
So we want to have our own knowledge of technology, how to use those things. And I love that about you, that you are close enough to the technology that you can support people in that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up too, because it's had to be a balance for me, because there are certain things that, yes, I have to outsource and delegate because I would just like, be so in the weeds, right?
Yeah.
But I actually enjoy the technology piece, so I still keep up with that stuff, right? And so I think that really is also a benefit for my clients, because like you said, a lot of times you join a particular mastermind where you don't get access to the coach, but you also don't, it's hard to like compare, because I'm thinking of an example of a mastermind I was in where they couldn't help with those specific things because they are so removed, they haven't
Mhm.
done it in years, and it really was, a detriment. So yeah, it's absolutely, a bonus, I would say. Now, for people who are listening and watching this and who might be thinking about, okay, I know I need a coach, I know a mastermind is a good idea, but oh my gosh, it's an investment, and it is an investment. It's an investment in yourself. What would
Mhm.
you say to people as far as particularly investing in yourself in this program, and the return on investment that you've seen, even when, it can be scary to make that decision?
Yeah. This is an investment in your own belief in yourself,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And I once I got that, it wasn't so much about the dollars. It's like, how much am I going to align my own belief in myself and take the aligned action to make this, the best investment I've ever made. And for me, you helping me shift my model, priceless.
Mm,
Because I had been in other programs, I had, felt the pull of that, like that internal churning,
yeah,
that, this isn't exactly how I want my business set up. And that is really costly on an energetic level every single day.
yeah.
And, for those of us who are selling into multi-thousand-dollar packages, you have to think about how quickly can I
Mhm.
recoup this investment,
Mhm.
right? How
Yep.
quickly can I make this by coming up with those compelling offers that I love offering, and, helping more people, because I'm now scaling and leveraging, my business. It becomes a no-brainer when we see that potential.
Yeah.
And for me, it starts with, I believe in myself to make the return.
Yeah. Spoken like a true money mindset. Totally.
Well, I geek out on money mindset, right?
I love it. I love it. And people need to hear this. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And, and just for other coaches out there, or other people who have clients, I mean, I feel that should be one of the first things that you look at is, how can my clients get, a return on this, and money, yes, money, but in other ways as well, like saving time, saving energy, leverage. So I think that's huge as far as the ROI. So final words, Paula, for those who may be thinking about possibly working with me and they might be, on the fence or not sure, what's your advice? What advice would you give to somebody looking at this?
Well, as I've said to you, I think you're such a brilliant combination of strategy, templates, mindset, processes that you really bring together so many pieces that are critical for somebody who, may have a private coaching practice or, business in one sense, then they want to change it.
Yeah.
And you help dispel the myths or what feels scary in scaling and marketing in the online space.
Mm.
And so if you are watching this right now and you're thinking, I've tried the Facebook ad, or I've done a launch and it totally flopped, and therefore it doesn't work, and made up a whole bunch of stories about that, I encourage you to work with Christine so that she can show you the path forward and can show you where the pieces just need some tweaking, right? It's just that they need tweaking. You actually might have 9 out of 10 pieces right, and there's one, but that one piece that's not working is costing you,
That's
thousands of dollars.
that's
So
right.
that's what I love about working with you, because it's really about, as you've said so many times, tweaking things, looking at what's working, looking at what's converting or not converting, and improve those pieces, and then see the effect of multiple pieces put together like that.
Yeah, I love that. And it's true because I even just experienced this the other day. I was tinkering around looking at some of the funnels I had like started setting up, but kind of abandoned because like something didn't work, So even for myself, I have to look at that. And I had such an aha the other day. I'm like, why did I abandon this? Like, this
Yeah.
has so much potential. Like, I need to finish that thought and keep it going. So, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of times it
Well,
is.
and the other thing is that, you talk about it, and therefore it's had the effect on me to look at, okay, do I need to blow up parts of my business where I've made it too complicated and I now need to go back to something simpler so that I can thrive and create more success with the simple and fewer, as opposed to doing all the things that,
Yeah, all the
are
things.
draining the energy.
Yes, do less better. Like it's just I'm gonna get a tattoo. Like it's just like I have to always like keep that in mind because we
That
can't
should be a bumper sticker.
totally like it because we can make it so complicated and a million different funnels and steps and things, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Mhm.
So Paula, would it be okay if people were to reach out if they had a question to ask you about this personally?
Yeah.
Thank you. And how can people reach you? So let people know how they can find you online.
Yeah, so my web address is my name, paulaonysko.com. I have a Facebook group that is really active and super soulful and really focused on money mindset and taking those aligned steps. So that is the Abundant Soulpreneur Facebook group, and it's Abundant Soulpreneurs with paulaonysko.com. Or if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at, and then my name, Paula Onysko, Onysko, and you can connect with me there.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you, Paula.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much. You're awesome.
Thank you. You are too.